Buenos dias, Sheryl, and thank you for joining us today at Business Spotlight Series. Today, I am excited to introduce Sheryl Newman, founder of Appetite for Business. Welcome, Sheryl.
Buenos dias, Javier. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Very nice Spanish accent.
Thank you.
So, Sheryl, first of all, Appetite for Business, that sounds like a very appetizing brand name. Tell us a little bit, what do you do?
So what do we do? The best explanation for it is if you imagine that you've got perhaps an IT support company who will come and put in place your systems for you. So then you maybe start to think, well, what actually do I have? What am I paying for? What am I investing in for my business? So that's the point where we would come in. So we are a Microsoft 365 technology partner. So we support companies, typically SME, up to about 600. So we would support them to understand what it is that they're paying for and how they can utilize it to maximize growth and efficiencies and the productivity of their staff. So that's basically what we do.
Brilliant. Does it incorporate Copilot, AI?
Yes, Copilot, AI, but it all starts with your data. And this is the thing.
Yes.
We've got all the very sexy technologies, which we all love and we want to talk about. But unfortunately, you have to get your foundation solid to start with before you can start introducing some of these really cool tools.
Set up well, I can think so many small and medium-sized businesses that would benefit from what you do, actually.
Yes.
And I haven't come across any company that do what you do the way you do it. So
thank you. I think we are quite unique in the marketplace, and it's quite interesting because we just came from a meeting where we've just engaged with a company of around 200 staff. So, at the larger end of perhaps of an SME. But through the work we've been doing with them on their digital skills training, they reckon they're going to save £5 million.
Wow.
An hour a day per employee. And they've worked out that's how much they're going to save. So you start to think about, if I just invest a small amount of money in my business, what are the returns that I'm going to get?
Correct.
Especially, Javier, in a climate that we're in with national insurance increases, all these additional burdens to businesses. We need to make use of what we've got. To thrive.
What are the wins, just to visualize for people watching this recording? What are the type of wins, if you like, or savings or productivity gains your typical clients get by using your services?
So the one obviously we just spoken about around productivity, obviously just investing in your staff. Your teams are stretched. They've got a day-to-day job to do. You need to show them how they can be better, which is good for them. It's investment in them, as well as investment in the business. But also we've seen reduction of 80% admin time by automating processes that were previously manual. And you know how long these things take to do.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a whole range of different cost savings. One company, I think they did a pilot of 80 people. They saved 184 hours.
Wow.
So there's quite a differing range of savings in terms of cost and people. And I know you can say people time's intangible, but it's not really when you can get them focused on sales of your business, because that's what we're all here to do, aren't we? We're here to grow our businesses.
People's time for me is very tangible.
Yeah.
Very tangible. I mean, an hour for the lowest in the scale, an hour is 12 pounds is that tangible, right?
Yeah.
And as you go up the scale, it goes up in the wages go up. I love the mantra, which is you've obviously heard about this. Systemize routine, humanize exceptions.
Correct.
The thing what you do is you are systemizing, automating all the routine jobs that are repetitive and doesn't need thinking.
Correct.
And that saves a heck of a lot of time.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's the thing, what the kind of mantra that we should all be in an SME business right now is systemize and optimize. That's what we should all be looking to do. And that leaves us, you're quite right, being human and being able to spend time with our customers and supporting our customers and doing those jobs that often get very forgotten about, or you don't have time to do because you are doing manual processing in your business. Yes. So yeah, that's an absolutely great quote. I love that.
Yeah, systemize and optimize. Systemize and optimize.
Systemize and optimize. As soon as you can, systemize and optimize. Because I think that's the thing with small businesses. everyone just typically tends to muddle through. There's a lot of free software, there's a lot of multiple softwares, but then you get to a point in a business where you can't scale because you're hampered by your own systems, because you've got
Yes.
too many different things,
Yes.
the time it takes to manage those different systems.
Yes.
So I think from the start, getting that solid foundation in place will make a huge difference as people move through their work journey.
What is your ideal client in terms of size? What's the ideal from what to what in the spectrum?
So typically from 15 to maybe around 250. I mean, some of our clients have been quite huge, but we've been working with small internal teams. So typically, internal digital transformation teams will come and approach us and work with us to educate them, to upskill them, so they can then roll it out to the wider team. But typically, a small business, maybe 15 to around 250, typically,
Yeah.
because they don't have an internal ID department. They
Yes.
don't have anyone who can guide and support them. And
Yes.
Cloud 365 is quite a unique proposition. You need to be, this is all we do. We're a niche business. You have to be invested in it every day to understand
Yes.
how things are changing. So it's really important to have a company that understands integration to maximize the most of the investment of the money that you're going to make and make sure you
Brilliant.
spend it in the right places.
Great. So that's a great overview of what you do, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Um, so take us back. I mean, when you were at school,
Yes.
was this something you were dreaming about? How
So,
do you end up here?
so how I ended up here, I'll be honest, when I was 8, and I'm going to show my age now, my dad came home with a BBC computer. If you remember those, they were really large. And it wasn't so much about the coding aspect. I was quite interested in the kind of front end, the people and the processes and how things connected together. But unfortunately, at school, my careers teacher said, tech is for boys. And the only option at that time was coding, which was something that I really was not really interested in
Yeah.
at all. So my kind of second passion was originally I wanted to do journalism. That was I love people, I love stories, I love how you can connect the dots with different things. So my plan I was always writing little stories and little plays and little things at school and poetry and so on. And so my plan was to go to Imperial College in London and study journalism. But unfortunately, I got very ill when I was 17, so that plan had to change. So at that time, my second kind of passion was languages. So I went on to university to study. I got a master's in German. So it was quite a complete sort of turnaround of 360. But I suppose now, Javier, the way I see it, we're helping people to make stories with their data. We're helping them to make stories with their information that they have and their people. So I kind of have come full circle in a
Yes.
sense because I'm still helping with stories and businesses and people to connect together. So it's kind of come full circle. But no, it wasn't initially the dream job. No.
I think you come across as the person that would connect any dots.
Yeah. I'm always interested in the why. It's a bit like
Yes.
the Simon Sinek thing. I always want to know the why. Why are you doing this? What's the reason for this? Because we want to make sure that we get things right. And then even in life, in personal life, I'm always like, why are we doing this? What's the reason behind this? What are we going to gain from doing this? And I think it's good to have that questioning brain. It's that
Yes.
type of brain that never switches off. It's quite
Yes.
creative.
Yeah, that's a great thing to have. Have you read a book by Simon Sinek? Start with why.
I have, yes.
Yeah, and the five whys. Yeah, digging, digging,
Yeah.
digging.
And I think it's really important right now as well, because we see so many founders coming through who are starting their own businesses. And I think sometimes there's perception that it's really easy to run your own business. But I think if you've got a passion and you understand the why and you share that vision, either with yourself when you start or with your team as they come on board with you, then that really makes a difference as to why your customers will buy from you because they understand why you exist as a business.
Yeah,
So I think it's such a powerful
yeah.
book.
So it's connecting
It's
the
connecting.
people to the vision. There
Correct.
you are.
It's all about the connecting again. It's back to that connecting people to the
Yeah,
outcomes. Yeah.
that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Um, so, what are some of the major challenges you've had to face in building a business?
Okay, so here's a little story. I didn't set out to run a business. That was never my intent. However, I speak about connecting the dots. And when you look back, it does make sense because when I was 13, I wanted some money for just some clothes. My parents were like, if you want that additional money, you're going to have to get a job. So I did. So I went out and got myself a little toffee round. I don't know if you remember those in the 1980s. I had a little trolley and I went round doors and I think I ate half more of the profits than I sold, but it built resilience in me. I had doors thrown in my shut my face, but I knew that if I wanted something, I had to go out and get it. And then typically in every role that I had, I was quite self-managing. So even though I worked as part of a team, I was looking after myself typically and looking after my own workload. So I suppose there was those entrepreneurial traits that were already built into me. Um, but I joined a company, and in 2015, it was a really difficult time. It was the energy recession, and uh, the owner and myself made a decision at that time that I would buy out the business and I would take it forward on my own. Which I remember the lawyer at the time saying to me, "This is career suicide. What are you doing?" And I thought, well, I don't know how to do anything else. I'm just going to give it a go. And I think perhaps some of those earlier traits, like I'm very resilient, I'm very determined. As I said, I've been ill since I was a very young girl, so I've always just had to keep going. So I think those traits probably stood me in good stead. But I'd say the biggest challenge, Javier, was that I used all my savings. I had £1,000 left in the bank. That's all the money I had. There was a recession in Aberdeen. There was no work. I had a small team of three. And very sadly, 3 weeks after I bought the business, my mum was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So I had just like the perfect storm of everything to try and navigate and get through. But as I said, I'm very determined. And I think in life, sometimes you've just got to break things down into baby steps. Can I get to next week? Can I get to the week after? So I think that's been one of my biggest challenges, just all of that in such a short period of time and managing to trade out
Yes.
when the expectation was that there was just no way I could make it. So I'd say that's been my biggest challenge and also my biggest achievement.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned two very interesting words. One is resilient, and
Mm-hmm.
the other one is determined.
Yes,
So I think these are two traits to build a business that you need. Running a business is not for the faint-hearted.
it's not. I think you'll know this yourself. You're working with lots of business owners. You get paid last, typically. You eat last, as they say. You always need to be considering and thinking. You cannot be afraid to run a business, and it's not a 9 to 5. You have to put skin in the game,
Yeah,
and you have to be prepared to put the hours in to get the results that you need. And you have to be willing to build trust with your customers. And all of these things take time and effort and perseverance. And when you get knocked down, you have to be willing to get back up on your feet and get going again. And I often wonder, is it something that's nurture over nature? Do we have this? My background was that, but I do believe these traits can be learned over time. But it is something that it's deep down, you do have to have it as an entrepreneur. You must have that resilience built into you and determination just to keep going
yeah,
when it just feels like it's just black.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Um, what are the what are you looking for in the people you recruit to join the team?
So, as you may not know, we won Sunday Times Best Places to Work for 2 years in a row. We
Wow.
didn't we didn't apply this year. Um, there was a reason for that, but I am very much around. I always wanted to create a place where people could come to work and bring their whole self to work. That was very important to me. So they could bring their own skills, they could be their own person, they could feel within guidelines, they could flourish. So for me, I'm looking for people who are almost like a little bit entrepreneurial. So they have ideas, they have vision, they're hardworking, they're resilient. Communication and customer care are non-negotiable for me.
Mm.
So you have to have heart. One of our key core values is being human. And you have to be able to treat your customers like you would treat your family because technology is it's not a dark art, Javier. It's
Yeah,
people like people are very good at their jobs, and it's our job to make them understand what it is that we're doing so they can work in collaboration with us. We're not doing anything to them, we're doing it with them. So they're educated, they've got control over the decisions that we make. And I think that's a difference that we bring. So I'm always looking for people like that, people that care, people that want to work hard, people that want to make a difference. and I want to help in return to help them to grow. So it's a win-win. It's a win for our customers. It's a win for our team. So everyone's succeeding together. And I think that's very important to me that we have that mindset in here.
Brilliant. And you said we do things with them. That shows care,
Yeah.
and empathy.
Mhm.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can share in my early career when I really needed business. I had a client that approached me, and the project was probably around £250,000. I had no money. I literally had no money. But I said to this customer, this is not the right solution for you. And I'm not going to deliver this for you. And they're like, but this is £250,000. I'm like, this is not right for you right now where you need to be. This is what I would be recommending that you do, which is a lot less cost. And they decided not to go with my decision. And that was absolutely fine. But a year later, I met them at a networking event, and they said you were absolutely right in what you told us to do.
That's
And
brilliant.
they actually gave us another contract off the back of that.
Yeah.
And up until recently, we were working with them. We had a very strong, trusted relationship. But that's very important to me because that builds trust that we're on the same side as our customers. We
Mm.
want them to thrive and to survive, and we want to give them the tools that are only necessary to allow them to do that.
That's brilliant. So that shows integrity and authenticity, and that always pays back. So
Yeah, I do believe so. I mean, an example during COVID, which was a difficult time for all businesses, but I chose not to furlough my team. I said, look, we're in this together. We live and die by what we're going to do here together, and let's why not take the collective power? We've got time. Let's help and support our customers. And we gave over £25,000 of pro bono work to some of our customers who would not have survived Javier. They would not have made it through without our support. And we did that willingly and gladly because it gave us a purpose. It gave us a reason to get out of bed in the morning. So it motivated my team, it motivated me, and it supported our customers. So that was a win-win for all parties. And I think that's how I choose to lead, with purpose and with heart, because I think our world needs this. It's not something. I think those old days have gone now, and we're in a whole new world of operating. And I think those people that laughed at me at that time, I think perhaps now they might be rethinking their strategies of leading in a different, more compassionate way.
yeah, no, that's great to do so much pro bono work during the COVID times. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had the resources, we had the time. Why not help other people? And that's how communities get built, isn't it? That's how we serve the community that supported us prior to COVID. So I think it comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yes. And I guess I love the mantra that one gets the clients they deserve. So we get the clients we deserve. So
Mm.
yeah, through our
Yeah.
actions, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I do believe being a value-led organization, and it's something that we co-created together as a team, we've adjusted together as a team. And I think they're non-negotiable as a team in terms of the customers that we work with. If there's no alignment to our values, then we will not work with those customers because we want to serve them the best way that we can.
Yes.
And if there's no alignment, then we cannot do that. We cannot get them to where they want to go. So I think
Yes.
being quite structured and strict around these things is
Yes.
key in a business.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question at the beginning, who is your ideal client? Because that's who you want to attract,
Yeah.
in terms of the psychographic, demographic, and geographic, really. So, no,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
let's talk about books a little bit. Earlier on, we were having a chat, and a few books came up.
Yes.
Let's start with the one that you would like to share.
Okay. Yeah. So one of my favorite, I love reading, by the way. I absolutely read. I read so
me too. You
much.
can hear
Yeah, I just love reading. My husband always says I've got my head in a book. But one of my favorite books, um, I'm quite spiritual, but I say this in terms of, for me, having clear practices are very important to me. So I do a lot of gratitude. I do a lot of affirmation. And the reason that started was because obviously I've had an illness and I've had some very difficult times with that. And that's what the one thing that's helped supported me and kept me focused and positive and being able to transition and move through these challenging times. But yeah, one of my favorite books is by an author called Jay Shetty, and it's called Think Like a Monk. Now, as we spoke about, you think it's just around personal or spiritual development, but there's a lot of strategic focus around business. And we spoke about things like I just wrote things down here. So they talk about dharma, which is basically essentially your why. What is your why in business? Why are you doing what you're doing? What is your passion? Why are you doing this? And that helps you with things like employee engagement. It helps with attracting the right customers. It helps with your strategic vision. So these are the kind of key things that I liked. Obviously, around mindfulness and mindset, really helps you to listen. So when you're talking to people, you're actually open to hearing what they're actually saying to you. So just sitting back a little bit. And I think I also shared a story where Jay, on a retreat, every day he had to go the same walk every day. And it was really intriguing how he said, once you get into that mindset and you really open your eyes, you can start to see things that you never noticed before. And I think that's really transformational in business because we're always so at it all the time. But sometimes just taking that minute to think back and look at things through different eyes can shed a different way or a different approach or a different way of working. And so for me, I love that. I think there's such commonality between just those being calm, being centered, and listening in terms of a bit like monk-like aspects, I suppose. So
Yeah,
that's one of
yeah.
my favorite books.
Yes. And that's why, being in a hurry, you don't notice anything.
You don't notice
Yeah.
anything at all because you're head down and you're just focused, focused, focused. And I think it's the thing as well for SME business owners, we very much are like that. And I
Mm.
think sometimes we forget to actually stop and say, do you know what? That was really good. I
Mm.
achieved that. That was fantastic. And we don't give
Yes.
ourselves enough credit.
Yes.
And that's something that's very important that we should
Yes.
all take time to do.
On that note, I was with a client yesterday and we were setting rocks, 90-day
Okay,
priorities
90
for the
seconds.
next 90 days. I said, we've never stopped to check the progress we've made. We are always setting rocks, setting goals,
Yeah,
setting priorities, and we never check the progress. And it's a lot to be said for that. This
yeah,
is a marathon. Running a business is a marathon. It's a long haul. We need yeah,
exactly. And we do the same. We do 90-day goals. And I think it's good because you can, if you try and no one can set a 5-year plan nowadays. Who can even a year plan's quite hard because COVID has shown us that something can come so left field that we're not going to be. But if we're 90 days and ahead, I think it really works well. It gives us a sense of achievement that we've achieved some
yes,
things. It gives us a sense of progress, a
yes,
sense of action. So these things are all really, really important as an SME business owner.
yes. I mentioned in one of the podcast interviews, Johnny Wilkinson, the English
Oh
rugby
yes.
player. Do you know about this? He's
No.
he trained for a decade to win the Rugby World Cup, and it was in 2003. I was actually watching it. He was on the last second. This is 100 million watching this guy kick the ball.
Yeah.
On the last second, he kicked the ball and he scored the trial. So they became world champions. And he was
Yeah.
telling this in the interview. He said, I was in ecstasy for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
After that, I was thinking my next game.
Yeah.
And it's just, why do we live for it? It's just to achieve things, and then what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that brings me to the next point of the book I mentioned to you earlier on, the power of now. The
Yes.
power of now, being present, which connects with what you said about listening and being present. And
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's the thing. I watched a great what's that program on TV? Sorry, my brain. With you got the SES or the SAS guys. And
yes,
I read one of their books and they say they only ever live in a 30-minute window.
wow,
They only ever live in a 30-minute window because they don't know what's coming beyond that.
yeah,
And you're right, it's the power of now is that you can't control what you can't see
yeah,
or what you don't know.
yes,
So why are we worrying about stuff that we don't understand yet?
yes,
So you're right, just being present in the now and
yes,
managing what you can control now, it
yes,
takes a lot of pressure and stress away because
yes,
we tend to, you're right, we tend to be thinking, right, what's next? We've achieved that.
yes,
What is like it becomes a tick box
yes,
exercise. And
yeah.
yeah.
Now, but there is a lot to be said for setting long range goals.
Hmm.
Because I heard you say before, 5 year goal was the point if we don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. However, I always picture it like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
And so, okay, you need to see, the mountain peak. That's where you're aiming with the business. But then you get your 90-day, okay, what's my 90-day rock that
Yeah.
stacks up to
Yeah.
the mountain peak, just to get direction and but yes,
Clarity.
yeah. Brilliant.
I'll
So
laugh. I'll share with you. I have two pictures in my house, which are very meaningful to me, and they keep me going as a business owner. So my husband hates them, but that's by the way. So I got one which is basically it's called "Out of Darkness Comes Light," and it's very black, and there's a very vibrant white center. And I always think as a business owner, when you set your goals and your objectives, you might be in the dark, but you're always working towards that light. And I also have a new print, which is a mountain, which is the top of the mountain. Again, is that black, but then you've got these light pieces that are coming through the mountains as you're hitting to the top, and I love that because it's almost like a goal for me to be attaining
yes,
that level. So that's how I set my plans in the business to allow me to achieve those with key processes and systems and yeah, all those kind of things we've
now you're
discussed.
talking. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love the acronym systems,
systems. Yes,
um, which stands for, if you write systems down vertically, is save yourself time, money, effort, and stress.
I love that.
So it's a very, I don't know if it's by coincidence or design, but that's what systems, an
Yeah,
acronym for it. So it's and that's basically a lot of what you do
it
in
is.
your business is systemizing people's.
Systemizing. And I think it's very important for business owners as well, because business owners need to be taken out of the day-to-day operations. And you can only do that by systemizing your processes.
Yeah.
You can only do that by putting in place um, work plans for your teams so they've got instruction that they need to follow. Because ultimately, one day, most business owners will want to exit their businesses. And they can
Yes.
only do that if their business is systemized and
Yes.
optimized and they're not in it, which
Yes.
is part of the work that you do to support businesses to achieve that. So yeah, it works very well. It goes very well hand in hand.
Brilliant. What what would you say? Well, before I ask you that question, um, yeah, what would you say to your 18 year? Well, before that, how do you relax outside business? Because you were saying before, you're always thinking, connecting dots, thinking, da, 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 da. How do you relax and recover?
I'll be very honest, Javier,
You
with great
don't.
difficulty. I've spoken to as many business owners, and I think you're always on. Your
Yes.
brain is always on. But what I try to do, and I've made very strict rules for myself, is that I now work between certain hours, unless there's an emergency, then obviously I will deal with it. Um, and I spend time with my family. So during COVID, we bought a caravan because
Wonderful.
it was a safe, controlled environment. I could go away with my dog and my husband, and I love the water. I love the beach. So we do tend to go away for weekends. Just wherever there's water, I'm there. So we tend to
Brilliant.
do that, and I love just being in nature. And I think it's quite nice to just to disconnect. And I've even stopped taking my. I've even stopped. I only check my phone for an hour in the morning when I'm on holiday now, and
That's
that's
a
it.
great thing to do.
If you want me, you'll get me during this hour, unless it's an absolute emergency.
Mm.
But I disconnect all my apps off my phone.
Mm.
Done. Because I think it's rest and recuperation is very important because you can't be at your best if you're not rested
Correct.
yourself. And it sends a clear message of culture to your team. If you're not resting, then they will be expecting that they can't rest. And I think it's very
Yes.
important that you set those boundaries straight away.
Yes. We are not designed to be on all the time.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're not designed.
Yeah.
But I once sat at a dinner party with a psychiatrist, I think he was, and he said some people have just got creative brains. So that's why I typically like I'll have a book on my Kindle or I'll have a game that I'll play just so my brain can just it's not doing work, but it's just doing something else that can
Change
try and
activity. Yeah.
just something that's creative and then it'll settle down. It'll feel quite
Yes.
happy. But if I it's just that constant stimuli, it does need it. And I've recognized it now, so it's fine.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, what would if you could spend a day in the life of, who would that be?
Ooh,
Either somebody living or from the past? So it would be exciting to be spend a day with. It could be somebody business related or non-business related, anybody.
so I absolutely love, and not a lot of people perhaps have heard of her, but you know Spanx,
Hmm.
Sarah Blakely. I love Sarah. A lot of her thinkings and the way she approaches work are very similar to myself and the way she approaches things. But she came from absolutely nothing, and she created this multi-billion-pound from such a simple, practical idea. And I think she's amazing. I would absolutely love to spend a day with her. So, Sarah, if you're listening, I think she's quite grounded. She's just very determined, very resilient, and yeah, I think she's been quite an inspiration to me to go from nothing to something which she sold for,
Yeah.
quite a considerable amount of money. And then she's taken that money and created a purpose through a charity and giving back to women. I love that. I love that ethos. So yeah, she's quite an inspiration to me.
That's brilliant. Sheryl, my final question really is, what would you suggest? What piece of advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
You know what? There's only one piece of advice I'd give, I think, because we've all lived our lives, we've all lived our journeys, and I think we've made our mistakes, and I think we wouldn't be where we are today if we'd perhaps gone a different path. But I think probably have more confidence. Yeah, I didn't ever believe that I that was one thing my mum always said to me as well, is have more confidence in what you can do. You know more than you think you do. And I think sometimes in life we get diluted by by other people's opinions, like, oh, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. But is that perhaps their insecurities coming onto us? So I think you should always just, if you've got something that you believe in 100%, I think you should go for it. And I don't believe in failure. I believe in not trying. I always think at least if you tried, it doesn't matter, because failure is just a lesson, isn't it? It's just another way to get to lead you on. So I think that would probably be my advice. Have confidence. Yes. Don't be afraid to try something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you fail, because it's just a lesson that will guide you on to the next part of your life.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, failure, what is failure? So it's not trying really, or it's when you quit.
Yeah. It's when you quit without even...
When you give up something that you could have done.
When you give up with something that you could have achieved. And
yes.
We always say to people, when you do something that you're scared of, how amazing do you feel when you achieve it?
Yes.
And imagine having that feeling when you can do so much more of that, and you don't want to give that up to you. I think.
Yes. Some people ask, okay, it's all very good to say, to be confident, but how do you become confident? And go on.
I think from a female perspective, females perhaps typically, lack confidence, but I've done a lot of fake it till you make it. And people will say to me, oh, wow, you're amazing. And I would like, for example, I was doing a speaker panel and I thought I was going to pass out. The room was spinning in front of my eyes. But everyone said you wouldn't know, but it's just that, okay, I'm here. I have to do a job. I'm here to do a job. I just have to do that job. So just get on and do it, Sheryl. And just get on and do it and push through.
I would say two things. One is competence gives confidence.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's doing your homework. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, when you said fake it till you make it, I like to rephrase that in my head, because it sounds kind of lack of authentic, and that's not what people mean. Yeah. But you're gonna do your best every time. So you're not faking it; you're just giving your best. Because some people may understand, fake it. You may misunderstand that phrase that we hear so often.
Yeah, I think you're right. What I mean by that is you do something, you do your homework, you do as much to empower and educate yourself as you can for that situation that you're finding yourself in.
Yes.
And then you present yourself in the best light that you can.
Yeah. And even if it's the first time, they don't know it's the first time. That's why you say you may fake it. First time, but you're doing your best. So, and then you build experience on that and mastery of your trade.
Yeah,
that was brilliant, Sheryl. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your journey, and again stepping outside the comfort zone to be part of the podcast.
Thank you so much.
For being so candid and sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.